My name is Ricardo Holzer. People know me as a writer, so I'm more of an observer. I don't really like talking about too much, but I did want to talk about parking. That's not a glamorous issue, but I'm reminded of it in several reasons. One being that some people who came in here couldn't park. Also, I think I've been spoiled for many years living in Ward A because there was far more parking, but as development has grown, so the diminishing of parking has increased. I wanted to know your vision about parking because recently I saw written online about the council approving, enforcement of different meter zones and whatnot. So I'm curious about, can you explain a little bit about that? And also talk about, in general, in the next couple of years, is there more enforcement? Are we seeing more fines? Are we seeing more meters?
So the meter issue is, we just passed that at the city council. It basically just clarifies that the meters went from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. We did the merger from the parking authority into the city as a parking division for the city. Some of these rules weren't codified, and so it basically codifies that and puts it 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. as the default, unless there's some sort of signage or sticker on the meter that says otherwise. And many of the other meters throughout the city say 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We ultimately amended the ordinance at the meeting to have a later start date so that we could make sure that we instructed the BA, the parking division, and DPW make sure that all of the appropriate signage and was out there to make sure that it was in effect for 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and people knew that to those meters.
Can we introduce pay-by-phone meters?
We introduce pay-by-phone?
Pay-by-phone meters.
Yeah, we've
I've
looked
seen
at,
cities do it.
yeah, she's asked about, can we introduce pay-by-phone meters? We've looked into it, we've even looked into pay-by-credit card. Our rates are so low that it doesn't pay. Our thing, that's why over in New York it pays because they charge so much more for the parking. On the enforcement thing that you mentioned, we basically go with what the community wants. Parking is a double-edged sword, as you know. I'll give you a classic example, corners. You shouldn't park on the corners because it hurts the ability to see as you go, blah, blah, blah. But then we find there are blocks where people have always parked there if there were no other spots, and they've always been allowed to get away with it. But if somebody starts complaining and saying this is affecting our ability to take our kids to school, we'll step up and do the enforcement. A lot of times we'll try to speak to the people first, because this is long-time residents a lot of times, and see if we can come up with a solution.
Yeah, I would say, Ricardo, I'll tell you what I told the board evening, they asked about parking a lot as well, is that it's best to work through the community group. We'll defer to the community group on that. You have active community group here, and tell them what you want, and they will advocate for us. What we found in the past is that we've changed something as a result of kind of one-off requests, and then there's a backlash in the community. So we said we're just going to work with the community groups on that.
Stephen, I'll just make a suggestion, and not to interrupt anybody's time. I would make a suggestion, which is start considering about putting municipal lots in different parts of the city. Reason being because we're reminded by the snow storm that many people couldn't park in their blocks, or people came to visit, or whatever reason. And what happens is when you have a snowstorm, you'll end up just opening school lots. But I think maybe it's something that the city should start thinking about, and also it could generate revenue lots as well.
So his question was about municipal parking lots and potentially generate revenue and help with parking. I don't want to be misleading on it. We have no plans of building parking decks anywhere in the city, any ward. We've generally taken the standpoint of we're trying to encourage less cars coming into the city, not more. Those parking decks tend to attract cars as the end result of that ultimately, and that doesn't tend to be a solution. What does work is more zone parking. If you want that, that tends to be a difficult thing to do within the community groups. We're happy to do that. If the community group wants that, that tends to be the best way to help on some of that stuff, from my standpoint.
Matt.
We'll go 1 second, we're going to go up here, and then Dan, who is, who knows what he's going to do.
How's it going? I'm David. I'm one of the newest ministers to Jersey City. I moved about 1.5 years ago, opened up a church in September, and since we've opened, we've done a couple really big community events. In September, gave away 1,400 bags of groceries. We had some left over. We did it on West Side at Metro Field, drove right down to Ocean. We even had a woman say she just got evicted, gave her some groceries. We did a free movie night, passed out popcorn and hot chocolate as a way to help get families out, and we had over 200 people at that and stuff like that. All of that did out of our own costs and everything like that, but those are really just flash in the pans. We've done more stuff, but those only offer one night where it's a safe environment for them to go to. We worked with Captain Lockwood, and we had police walking around. It was great. But I know there's a lot of abandoned properties. I know it's an issue that you guys have talked about, and I also know that there's grants that you could apply for and get for funding for after-school programs. I'd be more than happy to lead the cost for that. I know I've met with some of the ministers in the area as well. Is there any way that we could partner together and really see a couple of these abandoned properties just need a little TLC, and we could open up an awesome after-school program to get these kids off the street, because crime's not going to stop unless you affect the kids and the teenagers, because they're just going to keep repeating the cycle, and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see kids dying on the street. I moved into Jersey City, and a kid got shot killed around the corner on Sunday night. That's unacceptable to me. And so I'm the first one to lead. I'm sure everybody else. Hey, we could offer tutoring for free, volunteer a couple hours. I'm a teacher as well at a Christian school in Bayonne. So I'm for the community. I'm trying to buy a home in this community. I love this side of the city. I love the redevelopment as well. But is there any way that we can partner together, file some grants and everything like that, and see an actual community center for this area?
I'm going to first answer part of the question, because this is a public relation issue, you would say again, and then refer over to Carmen. Stand up, Carmen, for a second. She runs our community development center here in development operations in Jersey City. Now, there's 900 approximately abandoned properties right now in Jersey City. Okay? Of the 900 properties, the state law over the last 2 years has become more or easier for us to facilitate taking over those properties. Okay? There is a lengthy court process to go through, but there is, for the first time, a route to do it. The Jersey City Redevelopment Agency and our city, our department directors, are going through that process right now with a small handful of them to kind of test out how effective it is. Right now, there are 25 properties that are at the goal line of kind of coming back to the city, at which point the city would then designate individual community groups, construction, developers who can take over those properties ultimately. We have no horse in the race on who takes over those properties, so if you are a non-for-profit, if you want to be a part of that, all you need to do is go to the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency. I would recommend that you partner with somebody who's capable of the renovation for those properties, and then you solicit, you put your name on the list there, and they will ultimately designate you for one of those properties. It's a fairly straightforward process for anybody in here, ultimately. We're looking for people to partner on that front. It's a very easy process. Yes?
What's the agency?
Jersey City Redevelopment Agency.
The network I'm a part of, we have about 60 inner city churches. We believe in seeing more churches in the inner city. And we actually offer after school programs, food banks, and men and women's recovery homes. So, and the unique part about our recovery home, you don't need insurance, and it's completely free, costs the family nothing, there's never any fee. Would that be something that the city would be interested in, offering free drug and alcohol rehabilitation programs right here in the city to help for people beyond that?
We're always looking for a partner, of course. I don't know the details of how it would work and how it would structure. I would urge you to reach out to us. I'll get you my contact information afterwards. I don't know how we would integrate that, but I'm sure we could figure out a way. Well, one final thing before we go to Dan, we don't have time for you. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. But before we conclude, I just want to recognize another elected official here. We have our freeholder Bill O'Day in the back over there. And we have our Board of Education President, Vijay Gangulan, over here. Okay. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay. My question, before I ask you my question, I'm just really surprised that absolutely nobody in the audience has asked you any question in regards to public transportation. However, my question is not about public transportation. My question is about this little girl over here. The pilot program collects a lot of money for the city of Jersey City. My house is not an abated property. Part of the money that's collected by Jersey City goes to the local school district. None of the money from the pilot program goes to our local school district. As the chief executive of the city of Jersey City, at this time, will you go on the record to establish within the pilot program a dedicated fund equal to the amount of $100 or $150 million annually collected through the pilot program, of which absolutely none goes in any way at all to a local school system for recreational facilities? Because the last time I checked, that little girl over there does not have a public pool in Greenville to go to. There is a recreational center for any of the people in here to take their kids to have any activity in the winter months. We're not talking about a playground or a park, but when it's dark at night and it begins to get cold, it's only right that these people here and the people in my ward, which happens to be Ward B, have some place that's a safe haven where they can bring their children to. And that's the question that I've been waiting for.
All right, so and this will be the last question, it's 9 o'clock, okay? And then,
I had one.
all right, you'll have the last question.
Mine is not a question.
But well, let me ask you Dan real quick, okay? So on the building a brand new large community center somewhere in Jersey City from a recreation standpoint, there is nothing currently right now on the agenda to build a large facility.
Well,
We
just
tried.
to follow up real quickly, will you dedicate any money at all for the children or the school because they're
Yeah,
connected, so that the money that does not go to the school system that should, if the property wasn't available, could be utilized for recreational programs exclusively? So in other words, you have $100 million, of which $5 million would have gone to the school system, and it's abated property, that $5 million goes for recreational programs exclusively, dedicated for that purpose.
So the short answer is that the city invests a tremendous amount of money every year in recreation. Recreation programs, in renovating parks like Berry Lane. So we are investing in open space and recreation activities. It can't always be pools. It can't always be, you don't always hit it perfect or whatever he wants, but we do invest a lot of dollars on this. With regards to dollars going from the pilot program specifically into the schools, okay? When you look at what Jersey City or some of the urban areas spend per student in the school system, you would be hard-pressed to argue that there is a shortage of dollars. That is not the argument on some of the challenges in the school. I believe that if you look at the numbers relative to almost anybody in the state of New Jersey, you know, we do fund our schools, or the schools are funded, because we don't entirely fund our school system, better than anybody, I'm sure, in Hudson County. So you should look at that number. It's not a matter of not having adequate dollars within per child at the schools. That's not the ultimate challenge that's going on here. And now finally, I would just say highlight that there is a disconnect and a misconception on some of those abatements and the pilots, right? It's not that they, you know this because you referenced this, it is not that they are not paying dollars into the city ultimately. It's ultimately how it's broken out. Some of those buildings, many of those buildings, pay more than conventional taxes, as you know. The frustrating part for some residents is how that is proportioned. But they are not getting a pass. Because you read that a tax-abated building, it doesn't mean it's getting a pass. It is a payment instead of taxes. That payment tends to be often higher than conventional taxes. Just so you guys understand that there's sometimes that misconception on that word on how they're being used.
Steve, the one point though that Dan brought up, it takes years to build.
I shouldn't have introduced you.
It takes years to build community centers.
Yes.
It takes days to open up schools at nights and on weekends. And when we had our meeting in West Side, the director said, we're going to get some schools open and open soon. I don't blame you, you're the mayor. It has to be the city in cooperation with the superintendent of schools. But we need, because we've been fighting for years, to just get schools. Jeff Dublin, you remember, God rest his soul, when we met with Dr. Epps on Claremont Avenue, begging him to open one school in each ward on the weekend, so instead of kids running around the malls and getting in trouble or staying home playing video games, they'd have a place to go to do recreation and interact with other children. We're still waiting 10 years later. I think that should be done.
This is finally, I'm happy. I'm very happy to stand here before you tonight and let you guys know that, Angela, stand up a minute, please. This young lady piloted a program where we're in the schools after meeting with Dr. Lyles, and we are there, okay? We're going to go to every single ward, and we're going to do the same thing. Homework, recreation, and mentoring.
Which school? Okay.
Right now,
School.
first one, school number 5.
Who's picking them? Where's that?
Number 5 is downtown. If I were downtown, everybody would be applauding. It's all relevant. We're coming. I promise you, we are coming. I give you my word. The greatest thing about tonight is the fact that I can stand before you and I made a promise. I made a promise, right, 2 weeks ago? And I've delivered it. One thing I'm going to do as the recreation director is if I make a promise, I'm going to make it come to fruition. You got to give me some time, but I promise you it'll be done.
Okay, that's it.
Let me say this. This is the first I knew of the schools are open in which they started. I know they worked on. We will reprioritize that. Thank you very much. That will change by next month. Let me just say, before we go, we have one question over, or one comment over here, and then I'm going to stay, but we're going to wrap it up just at 9 o'clock already.
Mine is not a question. I'm going to take the audacity to speak on behalf of everybody here. Some was brought up by Mr. Billy in terms of the sensitivity of people who lose their loved ones. And there was a response that was given that nothing we can do about it. I disagree. I think all of us here, with the mayor, with the Hudson County, and have a day set aside for all of those persons who lost their loved ones to show in solidarity that we feel their pain. That need to be orchestrated with the mayors, with the ministers, and other community leaders, and invite those persons who have lost loved ones and stop giving so much lip service. Sometimes we don't have to say a word, just to have them in the presence and let them know we feel their pain. I would ask that you would seriously consider that. My president is not here, the Reverend Legay of the Ministerial Alliance of Jersey City, and my brother with New Jersey Together, about 35 churches. We would certainly believe that we can do something, maybe not monetarily, but we can do something spiritually in terms of the quality of life of the people in Jersey City who lose their loved ones. That's one. I would appreciate a response. The second one was the young man, Jermaine. I don't know what it's like to lose my kids. My baby is 31 years old. I wouldn't know what to do. But when the question was asked about Jersey City Police Department, and then you've done all you can do, it was transferred to the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office. Somebody, the young lady here, recommended that we do something, we act as an advocate. I think to say that we're going to do something and to leave here not doing anything is not. I've asked a couple of young ladies to assist us on our way out, those who would sign. We hope that we will run that through our Chief Executive Officer. Mr. Mayor, you're in the city. But we're not holding you responsible, but to help the citizens of Jersey City get this petition to Hudson County Prosecutor's Office so they can relook that situation. Whether there's new evidence, but they need to know that the people who lose their loved ones are not alone, that the community supports them. And I'm asking all of my brothers and sisters ministerially. I don't speak for the political community. I've served in this community about 40 years. The ministers allow, I welcome my brother to come on in to IMA.
Yeah.
And on behalf of my brother from the New Jersey Together, we don't need to try to reinvent things. We welcome you to come and be a part of the larger community so we can use some of your ideas that maybe we can provide a better quality of life for our people in Jersey City. That was mine. It's not a question. And I guess while I'm standing, I represent also the Salem Lafayette Housing. And I'm going to say it. At one time, we had 66% of violent activity in that development. About 900 people lived there. Through the efforts of Mr. Shea and the district commander, Kelly, Captain Kelly, we now have less than 20%. We have 2 police officers patrolling every day, community police. We have 5 that I can count almost every day. Not sitting there, there's a bus, a car, and they patrol up and down the streets where the stores are, and they go in and out of that development. Now they have moved. We're not responsible where they moved to, but I'm glad they moved out of our area. Okay, so I just wanted to say on a positive note, some of the things that you instituted is working. And for me to sit here and not say anything, I think would be remote.
Thank you. So I'm happy to work with you on that day, but I'd ask you, I will work with you, so you have to follow up on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay? I will reach out to the prosecutor's office again. I'm happy to do that and work in concert with people here on that front as well. Follow up for me, you're going to get me some stuff on the Port Authority, correct? That's a follow up there. We will get you, are going to send me an email on the bike, where that is ultimately. I will get your email on the arts. Is he still here? Okay, so I will get it to the community group ultimately over there. And then we will get you broader information about the community recreation, and I will reprogram which schools we prioritize first for the recreation program, not starting at school 5, no offense to school 5. Okay? So
There are 3 tables in the back for people to sign in.
all right, and then finally, if we could give a big round of applause to Pastor Joshua and City Line Church for Thank you all for coming out tonight, and we look forward to doing this again in a couple of